storms. Aside from travel impact and the cost of that, we know there's absolutely an economic impact to a big winter storm like this. So I want to bring in our analyst, Paul Walsh, in Bethany Beach, Delaware. Paul, great to talk to you as always. I know you were directly impacted by this latest winter storm, but let's talk about the price tag. I can only imagine it's going to be huge. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is going to be massive, Maria. If you just imagine the area that the storm impacted, it makes up probably a fifth of the entire economy of the U.S. And it was dramatically impacted. And in some places just stopped, small businesses, et cetera, et cetera. So more than likely, we'll see this as being the first billion-dollar event of the year, unfortunately.
And what are some of the sectors that you see as the real standouts, perhaps the big winners or the big losers with this storm?
Really no winners with these kind of storms. Typically what happens, as I mentioned before, businesses are just shut down. You're at LaGuardia right now. Of course, travel has been completely disrupted. Small businesses up and down the coast have been impacted. And of course, what's going to happen next is that insurance companies are going to have to start throwing money back in. That's where that $1 billion comes in. That $1 billion comes into back to basically rebuild. So insurance company money and then government money. So all of those kind of things have to sort of kick in. If there is any sort of a silver lining, we won't see that for months, and that'll be really reflective of the impact of the rebuilding effort as opposed to what's happened right now.
And speaking of building and rebuilding, you ask anyone along the coast, I've heard it with interviews in Massachusetts, people are feeling the effects. They're noticing what a difference in water levels, sea level rise have done. And it could be a matter of a few inches. That's the difference between a dry house and now one that's taking on water. How do we begin to tackle that with the economy, and where do you see that in a business sense in the future?
Well, I think both from an economic perspective as well as a business perspective, what we're seeing is the impact of sea level rise, which has been happening for quite a while and is projected to continue to happen. Of course, when you have higher sea levels with these kind of storms, the impact becomes greater. And Maria, there's a lot more people living in those areas now. There's hundreds of billions of dollars worth of property that is in areas that can be affected by these kind of storms that wasn't there before. So there's a general broad effort now to create communities and facilities and buildings that are more resilient to these kind of events. It's going to be something that's going to be going on for a lot of years, but it's something that we have to look at very hard because a lot of these things are going to be happening again more frequently.
Right, and perhaps this week. All right, business weather analyst Paul Walsh, is always great to talk to you. Mark, I'll send it back inside to you, talking about